Got your popcorn? Got something to drink? Seen Princess and the Frog lately? Indeed, it is time for the Witches Movie Coven. Yay! We want to thank you guys all for coming along. We are the Witches Movie Coven. I am one of your hosts, Patti Negri. And we have Courtney Buckley, we have Heather Greene, we have Richard-Lael Lillard, we have Jason Mankey, and that'll make me dizzy. I like moving around like that. And of course, we have Black Phillip. Yes. So let's catch up a little bit because I know we haven't been all five of us together in a little while. I think we have wayward folks, and some of us have got together in real life recently, right? Courtney?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not only did I get to meet the amazing and wonderful Jason Mankey in real life, but Jason Mankey got to meet not a doll in real life.
And hold it.
And discover that its arm is broken.
And make judgments as to whether or not it is truly a doll or truly not a doll.
And our Black Phillips got to hang out. It was very exciting. They're reading their favorite book, The Horned God of the Witches by Jason Mankey.
That is beautiful. So is not a doll, Jason?
That is a really tough question to answer. So Not a Doll's life began as a Halloween decoration, and it has the mechanics of a Halloween decoration that moves within inside of it, which makes it feel sort of undoll-like and more like a decoration. However, the way Courtney cradles Not a Doll,
I did no such thing.
Doll, and the fact that it's possessed makes me believe that it could be a doll.
Jason, I thought we were friends.
I have dolls.
Call.
I have dolls that move and talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Not a doll doesn't move anymore because I broke its arm.
It felt so heavy though that like you wouldn't give this to your child to play with.
What do children have to do with dolls?
Well, I mean that was the original thing, right? I mean, I don't know. It's a tough call. But as I also told Courtney, do you keep it out all year? And if you only put it out at Halloween, then it would be certainly a decoration. But if you keep it out year round, then does it turn into a doll?
Okay, which is a valid argument. However, the entire aesthetic of my life is Halloween decorations. So all of my Halloween decorations are out all year round because that's where I shop for home decor is the Halloween section. So I feel like that balances out.
You are so cute, Courtney. We love you very much. But where is your Witches Movie Coven blankie?
Oh, not only do I have my Witches Movie Coven blankie right here on my chair, but I am also wearing my Witches Movie Coven hoodie.
Ooh.
Yep, which you can get at mysterycontrol.com.
Indeed, you can. You are our model. You are our Witches Movie Coven official model. I want to thank everybody coming in. Hi, Alyssa. Hi, A Special Power. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Mary Jane. Hi, all you guys, Casey. So we appreciate you here. Hi, Robert. As always, glad you are here. Heather, what's new with you?
Well, I also got to see Jason. We both attended PaganaCon, and our Black Phillips also got to hang out, and they hung out at PaganaCon and had a big time. They also hung out at the Llewellyn worldwide offices, checking out all the wonderful books there. There they are. You can see. Oh, there they are. You know, they had a little fun. They also did some reading and ran around after hours at the Llewellyn worldwide offices in Minneapolis. So it was great seeing Jason, as always, catching up. So we had a good time there. And other than that, I've been reading lots and lots of great manuscripts about witchy things and watching movies. So
sounds like a perfect day to me. My Black Phillip is hating me more and more and more because I don't take him. He sees you guys online. He sees he gets to go all these places, and he's starting to watch me asleep. It's very scary. Richard-Lael, what's new with you, my friend?
Oh, not a whole lot. Teaching with University of Magicus. I am now working again a little closer with Lord Constantine, mutual friend of ours.
Yes.
So we've got some things that are in the works that we're working on, which I'm excited. We can't talk fully about. I'm excited about that. Satan Con is coming up, and so the little devil in me is really excited about that. But
well, you look very dashing today. The outfit, as always, the earrings, the new look.
I have really, 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 really sensitive skin, and these are clip-ons. They're vintage, but I've had them for years and can never wear them because after 5 minutes I have to take them off. And I have a feeling today, since Jason, you suggested today's film as what I hear. I'm going to be snatching these off a little bit later on. We're gonna have words.
The way I ratted you out that this was your idea because I knew what you were going to say about not a doll.
I kind of gave it both ways. I mean, I suggested that it could not be a doll, but also provided reasons why it is a doll.
Someone, maybe it was you, signed my Jason Mankey book by saying it is a doll.
Love that's Jason. True. I did.
Yeah.
If it's in writing, it must be true.
Mm-hmm.
You know what was the saddest part about the Black Phillip tour with my Black Phillip? I realized mine is the oldest of the Black Phillips, and how matted his hair is, and how much older and more grizzled he looks than everyone else who's Black Phillip with the sparkly fur, and it's all fluffy, and mine's super matted.
Look at how sparkly.
Yeah,
but at least he doesn't have a butthole like mine does.
It's true.
Aging is not for the weak. We understand that. I understand that completely. But I just realized I am going to an event this weekend that I can bring him. I'm going to be at Parapod Festival, which I don't have to fly to because it's within an hour of LA. You get to go on an event. Oh, he's so happy now. He won't eat me in my sleep. Chewing on him. Grace does not like him. I don't know why. I have a house full of stuffed animals that are willows. She doesn't bother them at all. This one, poor tortured Black fella. Anybody else have any nice catch up? What to do? Anything?
I forgot to add is that I was on. I also had a really fun talk with David Sloan and Aaron Sagers on their show on Den of Geeks, the Talking Strange podcast, which was something I did a few weeks ago, and I got to talk about dolls. So it just reminded me we're talking about dolls. We got to talk about haunted dolls, and I got to hear all this backstory with Robert the doll. That was super fun. And I actually got a nice gift of a bottle of Robert the doll red rum in the mail, and I showed it to some of my old dolls, and I thought that we had a photo of that. There they are. And they were checking it out, and it's doll approved. So that's really pretty cool.
I wonder if not a doll would like
not a doll might like some.
I just remembered I actually have to wash my hair, so I think I'm gonna have to go.
I have to wash my hair too. I just forgot. I have to wash my hair.
Maybe we should get to the movie so Courtney doesn't escape.
So we can't lose her. You're here, Courtney. You're here. So this week we are talking about The Princess and the Frog, a Disney movie from 2009. Heather, do you want to give us our official, you are the movie expert, information on this?
The boring history, yes. So Princess of the Frog was Disney's return to classic animation. For a while, 5, 6, 7 years, they had turned to CGI. They had worked with Pixar, and they had owned Pixar for a little bit, and then they didn't own Pixar, whatever. It was all digital. So the Walt Disney Animation Company decided to try to return to its traditional style of hand animation, non-digital. And then another piece of this is the traditional, they return to their princess format, something that we see very classic Disney, princess, love interest, magical characters, etc., dreams and hopes and everything like that. It's different, but they return to that format as well. And then but at the same time, they took on addressed another issue, a criticism that they had long been given. This was Tiana, the princess, who's right here, is the very first African-American princess and a positive African-American lead character in a Disney animated film. She was the first, and I believe now still the only of the princess, specifically the princess realm. And that was a big step forward. Now, there were other things they did in this movie that were different than the original movies. The entry into doing princesses that were non-European started in the 90s. But they still had more traditional, some other traditional pieces when it came to the princess formula and everything. And they still did not have an African-American princess. Tiana is the first in 2009. And the movie was a big success that weekend. Apparently, I looked up the numbers, and apparently it was top grossing for animation. It won awards. People loved it, but it was overshadowed and generally doesn't have the same, people don't remember it the same way they remember Little Mermaid or Snow White. And there's a number of reasons for that, and people could argue that, but it did win a number of awards, and it was very, very well received during the immediate aftermath when it was first released. Some people speculate the reason people forgot it so soon is because I think Avatar was released like a week later, and Avatar pretty much overshadowed anything that was released the week before. So I think it's sometimes forgotten, but it is a notable movie in Disney's canon of animated films, as well as the Princess collection of films. So that is my little tidbit for now. Oh.
I think Patti might be muted.
Patty's muted.
Sorry about that. Things were blowing up here. I'm back. All right. Somebody other than me, who wants to talk about that? Who wants to go first?
I will. I have thoughts. So I watched this probably once before because, my princess phase was long before 2009 when this came out. So I remember liking it when I first watched it, but I just rewatched it tonight. And I have to say there's a lot of things that I like about it, but there's also some things that bother me. I feel like a lot of the characters are like too stereotypical in not a good way to hold up. I also don't love the fact that Tiana, being the first African-American princess that Disney does, spends the majority of the movie as a frog, which they then did again with Soul, who had another African-American lead character. This was more recently, and then he spent the majority of the movie as like a blue little blob. So I don't love that. But I will say some of the characters I loved a lot, and I found myself laughing. Like, I really needed to laugh today. It's been an emotional week, and I was laughing. I think that Louis and Ray ousted Timon and Pumbaa as my favorite like animal sidekicks. Me, a secret lover of like all the sappy Netflix Christmas romance movies, and I was sobbing at Ray and Evangeline because that is the best love story I've ever heard in my life. And I loved, what was her name? Mama
Odie.
When Mama Odie was doing the spell and they looked in, she's saying, look in the gumbo, and it shows the princess, and they're like, well, she's not actually a princess, and she's like, it'll work. Like, that's me doing my magic. Like, yeah, I don't have the thing the book tells me, but I got this, it'll work. So that was a cool moment for me. But I literally, like, with Ray and Evangeline, like, I thought I didn't care about Tiana and whatever his name was, Prince Naveen, like their romance story. I cared about the Firefly and the Star. I don't know why. It just like struck such a chord with me. So even though a lot of that was like probably not super appropriate in how the characters were portrayed, I did enjoy that part of the story. So, I mean, I have criticisms, but I liked it a lot.
Beautiful. All right. Jason.
I was going to say we should do Richard-Lael, so then we get like a negative, and then I'll come back
Richard-Lael.
with mostly positives.
Okay.
We'll balance things out.
Balance
Okay,
us out,
fine.
Richard-Lael.
I wanted to like this movie. I wanted so badly to like this movie. It's the first African American princess. It takes place in New Orleans. It takes place in the 20s. These are all things that I love. I love this. And I hated every grueling second of this horrible, horrible film. I hated it. And you know why I hate it? Yes, Courtney, you mentioned she's the first African American princess, and she is a frog for most of the time. And so it sort of takes away her humanity. And then what is even more that I hate about it is that none of the characters really have any, even though I know you love Ray and the alligator, I can't remember the other name. Louis. I know you love them. They do not serve a purpose in the entire film, with the exception of pointing the way to Mama
Odie. Mama Odie.
Mama Odie. There's no, and then why? Okay, so she's making gumbo, shrimp gumbo, so she can talk to animals now, but aren't shrimp animals? I mean,
You have to be higher on the food chain. You have to be higher on the food chain.
So, but frogs eat lightning bugs. So, I don't.
There are many species of lightning bug. Some of them can talk and some of them can't, and the ones that can't talk are the ones that are eaten. This is not a cruel society that these people live in the swamp. There are rules.
Like,
Jason.
There's two more things I didn't like, and then I'll turn it over. Two more things I didn't like. I did not like the fact that they did not understand the difference between hoodoo and voodoo. That infuriated me, that to no end, that they conflagrated the two and they sort of danced around it. And the other thing that irritated me is the villain was great. He was, of course, ripped off of Papa Legba, which is fine. Okay, I get it. Fine, trying to tie the two. What I didn't like, though, is that he didn't have any personal connection to Tiana at all. He doesn't make any. There's no scenes with the villain, the main villain, and Tiana until the very end. And unlike Jafar has a personal interaction with Aladdin, unlike Ursula, who has a personal interaction with the princess, with Ariel, unlike Gaston, who had a personal reason for being there and going against Beast. He was personally there for Belle, and there was no sort of interaction as to why. He's just, I'm just this bad guy because I'm bad, even though they could have really, really gone on a lot more. They could have said, listen, it's the 1920s. The Big Daddy is a sugar plantation owner, and he much could have been part of the reason that there was this divide between the people who lived in big houses, who were typically white, and the people who lived in small houses, which were typically not white. But there was no personal connection. If they would have said, hey, by the way, I'm tired of being downtrodden because of this, and I want to achieve a better goal, and this person stands in my way, then I might have understood a little bit more. But he was just evil for the sake of being evil.
Yeah, but he had cool shadows.
I will say he had all of the scenes I did like had Dr. Facilier, whatever. He had the best song, of course. Villains always do. He had all of the great shadows. I loved that I liked that he danced with the spirits on the other side. I liked it, but I just thought it was, well, I'll leave the rest for that. Jason.
I think that everyone's criticisms are valid. As Courtney ratted me out, I did pick out this film because I really love this film. Part of it is that I love New Orleans, and I love that there's magic in this film, and that it's a magic that, while I don't practice, I have rubbed up against it a few times, having gone to some voodoo rituals and knowing people who are voodoo initiates. And that's probably my biggest criticism. I hate that the bad guy has to be a voodoo practitioner and he has to look like Baron Semdi, who is a Loa in voodoo. And it just kind of continues the vilification of voodoo within television and movies and everything else. However, Keith David is the voice of our bad guy, and Keith David has this great voice in everything that he does and is awesome. And of course, the Doctor steals every scene that he's in, like Richard-Lael says he does. So it's good and bad, kind of equaling out. You know, I never really thought of the fact that they're frogs for most of the movie. What I liked is that they took an old, you know, a fairy tale, Princess and the Frog, or what is it? Or, well, yeah.
That's what it's called.
And sort of did it in a new way. They put a new spin on it. A lot of times it feels like Disney is just telling sanitized versions of old Grimm's fairy tales and not really changing it up very much at all, just adding the happy ending to it. And I really like that this was a really fresh take in a different place with different characters and a different scene and a different vibe. And I felt like they got the New Orleans vibe, which I really like too.
Beautiful. Heather?
Well, I have, I'm going to first tell, I have a very personal connection to this movie, and I'm just going to show my other Tiana doll right here. So I've got two Tiana dolls, and they're not actually mine. They belong to a little person that I took to this movie when it came out in the first weekend that it was out. My daughter was 2, and it was her very first movie, and she gave me permission to tell this story. And she could not get enough. And she was so excited. We had listened to maybe it wasn't the first weekend. We had listened to the music before, and she loved the music. So we had to go see the movie. And so this was her very first movie. So we went into the movie, just me and her. And I had this little 2-year-old sitting next to me in her big seat, in her big girl seat. And when the Almost There song came on, she started singing along next to me. And she's singing along. And then it comes to the crescendo where she just belts out Almost There, and my 2-year-old's belting it out, and the song stopped on the screen with a big pregnant silent pause, and she was still singing. And the entire audience in the thing started laughing because she's a little 2-year-old voice singing the song with Tiana. It was very cute. She loved the movie so much. By the end of it, she had wet her pants, and I had to take her wet out of the theater into the bathroom, and she loved every minute of it. And these, of course, we still have these dolls many years later because Tiana was her favorite princess. So I watched this movie way too many times a long time ago, a decade ago. And I enjoyed it in the theater, and I enjoyed watching it as many times as I watched it. I think it's fun. I think I won't put her away, but I think all of your criticisms are valid. I think this is a period of time with Disney where they started to break their formulas and also break fairy tales. 5 or 6 years later, we have Maleficent, which you guys talked about, I believe, last week. You have them breaking these formulas down. And so they're trying to, and they brought back the guys who did Little Mermaid to write and do the music. So there's a lot of stuff they brought. They were trying to get back to it. Those two guys said, we've done too many European fairy tales. We want to do something uniquely American. And so that's sort of what led them to do this particular thing. So I think there's a lot of, I struggle with, the only thing I struggle with, I loved it. It's fun to watch. The only thing I struggle with is that I feel like they were trying to stick this story and all these things into this old formula rather than just trying something fresh. And the traditional princess story is kind of dying by the wayside. It's an old formula. Maybe they needed to try something fresh. Maybe some of the things that you guys were talking about, why, and I hadn't thought about there not being a connection between the villain and the princess or the main characters. It's marginal. Yeah, I think that's valid. It might have given the movie the story some more depth. So there's a lot of nuances that could be critiqued about it. And one of them is the fact that voodoo is just magic. It's not a religion. And that's in this movie. It's not represented as a religion. It's represented just as magic. But there's positive and negative magic, which is new and fresh. Madame Odie is fresh. That's new. Having a magical character like that, that's as magical as she is. She's more like Brave's witch than she is like a fairy godmother. She's a fantastic character. So there's a lot of goodness that came out of it. I enjoyed it overall, and but I could sit my film historian could sit here and pick the thing apart and saying, well, they could have done better with this. They could have done better with this. That would have made it more memorable and more powerful. And but in the end, I love New Orleans. I love the fact that they gave it a uniquely American vibe. I love the fact that they captured the 20s and all these other pieces. So that's my take, if that made any sense.
Can I just interject for just one quick second here, because something just happened as Heather was waving her dolls around, and Not a Doll is sitting here looking very suspicious. I have the Wikipedia up so I could have the names in front of me, and I'm not moving and I'm not touching anything on my computer, and my screen just started scrolling by itself all the way to the bottom. So if whoever has dolls out, I think needs to put them away because they're touching my computer. There's no other explanation for it at all. That's it.
What is the very last name on that? What's the very last name? Since what did it
No,
say?
it went all the way. It went literally all the way to the bottom of the Wikipedia page.
Do you like the credits?
Obscenity controversies in film is the link.
Oh,
controversies in film.
Okay, well, it's haunted. That's all. That's my answer for pretty much everything. Okay, my turn. I liked it. I don't say it's one of my favorites, but I loved the music. And I did, even though they were a little cliche, I love the characters. I like the caricatures of them, but about the music and the whole 20s, and it felt like New Orleans, like what everybody said. I agree with all the. It didn't bother me that she stayed a frog. I didn't think about it. Why are they keeping the black girl a frog? She was a black girl frog. I don't know. But I couldn't get past the only part that bothered me, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm on an anti-violent thing right now. When they were beating each other up, that typical cartoon beating up, it bothered me for some reason. You know, when the bad guys and the good guys, and how you can, put somebody in half and it doesn't hurt them. I don't know. Maybe that's just my personal thing right now. It's like, it didn't need that. It didn't need that at all. We could have the evil and we could have the good and we could have all that. We don't need physical violence, even among sea creatures.
I wouldn't watch any Looney Tunes cartoons anytime soon then, if you're having that problem.
I know. And maybe back into something. I liked her. I loved the mama character. I loved the alligator. I thought everybody was really cute. The little blonde princess girl, and I thought I don't know if they were authentic accents, but I liked the accents, even if a little bit cliche. So I stayed with the characters. So they just don't have to kill each other all the time. And I too cried at the stars.
I can please. I'm gonna sob in public, live in front of everybody. Like the little Ray. Oh my God, I can't even. The Ray funeral. Like I was screaming at the TV and then sobbing hysterically. And then whenever the clouds parted and there was two little stars, I was like, oh my God, I can't. Because then I sat there and I thought about, like, he talks about Evangeline this whole time, and they're all like, she's just a star, like, and you think the whole time that he was not really, like, he was like, couldn't tell the difference between a firefly and a star, but then he goes up and becomes a star. And what if that means that she was always a firefly and she went up and became a star? Like,
what if it
so
means
beautiful.
that he is a star, which is why no one ever thought to eat him in the swamp, because they can sense his true being as a star and not a firefly.
There you go.
Stop.
And then I just kind of went, if he's never talked to her, how did he know her name was Evangeline?
Oh, this is getting deep.
It's so beautiful.
How do you know her name?
Hard knows.
Someone said over here that the Almost There song lives rent free in her head. And I have to say that I totally understand that. And one of the things I love about the actual movie is the animation at that point. One of the best parts of this is them going back to traditional animation. And in her dream sequence, all of that 20s artistic feel they do in the dream sequence is super cool. And I usually can't stand dream sequences. Especially in older movies, live action movies, but they did a really cool job because I just love that art style. So that was a really nice piece of this film too. And I love traditional animation, so that's one of my favorite parts of this movie is you can see that again.
I agree that that was the one thing is the real animation, the hand-drawn cells. That was very special.
Yeah, and they haven't gone back to it. They're going back to digital and CGI and all the other things, and it's a shame because that is that's an art form that is dying or is almost dead in mainstream, and it is literally amazing when you see what it takes to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
There are things that I think you just can't do with CGI and may never be able to do with CGI. The colors, the way things sort of swirl and hand-drawn traditional animation, I miss it so greatly. And it's a shame that Disney, which had done this for, 90 years or something like that? 80, 70 years, whatever it is.
It's the 20s.
Has stopped in 2009, and we don't get that anymore. I feel like we've lost something with it. If it had to go out, I think The Princess and the Frog is a pretty decent way to go out, but it shouldn't end. There should be more hand-drawn traditional animation.
And I think there was another one after that, and I can't remember. I'd have to go look, but there was like a 6-year period that they weren't. I think the last one they did was I can't remember. It was early 2000s.
It was the Bears.
Was it the Bears?
Yeah,
the Brother Bear. Was it Brother Bear? They were mostly forgettable, and then you had this one, and so I think they were trying to go back to it just to try something new. They brought and they should do it more. I agree. It's really nice.
It was successful and it won awards. I wonder why they didn't do it again. Just
it was money? That's a good question. I'm not sure, but I think that it was successful in the first week or so. It was highly successful. It eventually won Academy Award, eventually won other awards from other shows, but I think it was forgotten. I think it kind of dropped off. It didn't last as long successfully as Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaid and Aladdin and The Lion King. That period of time, the Renaissance, so to speak, of Disney. It didn't take off, and people don't remember it as well. The only thing they remember is going into the Disney store and Tiana, because she was the first American princess, African-American princess. So I don't think people remember this one as well as they do those other ones. Maybe that's why.
Well, I think I read once that you have to, if your budget is $107 million, the budget for this movie is $105 million, you have to make 3 times your production budget to make a profit on a film. And the movie only made $271 million, which compared to something like The Lion King or Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin is actually a pretty small number.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney might have lost money on the film. I think a lot of it is, as Heather said, this came out right before Avatar, which swallowed everything in its path. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I never saw it in the theater. I didn't see it until the pandemic when I was stuck inside and had nowhere to go and, could only watch TV for 2 years.
And I think most of the money it made that you just quoted was done within the first week. The majority of it. I mean, it just did really well. It was like one of the top grossing animated films, maybe the top one for that particular weekend, and then Avatar. And that was the end of it. People forgot. But they haven't forgotten The Princess. And I think I talked about this when we talk about Hocus Pocus. The reason Hocus Pocus retained a following and then came back with a second one was because people love those witches. They remember the witches. Even if they didn't remember the movie, they remember those witches. And that's what's happened to this movie, is that people may not remember the movie. They don't remember Madame Odie even. They don't remember Evangeline. They don't remember, sorry, Courtney. And they don't remember some of the others. But they do remember Tiana because she was the first African-American princess. She's part of the princess collection. She's in the stores. She's in all of that. So people remember that. And so Disney is now, I think in 2004, scheduled to have a TV show called Tiana. So it isn't completely gone. And the ride, they're changing the controversial Splash Mountain ride is becoming a Princess and the Frog ride. So it's slated, I think it's opening with the new Princess and the Frog stuff this year, 2003. I'm sorry, 2003. What year are we? 2023. I think it's this year, but the TV show is 2024. Might have my dates wrong, but there's TV show and then the new ride, Splash Mountain, will be Princess and the Frog. And so we all know why that's happening, because it was... the Splash Mountain was made after Song of the South, which is a movie from, I want to say it was early 50s when that movie came out. And quickly after a period of time, I think by the 70s, it was largely very criticized and they put it in the vault and have never released the movie ever since. If you've seen the movie, this is the movie with Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox, 1946. I just got the date. Thank you. It is criticized for racism, and a lot of other problems and its representation. Again, Disney put it in the vault. It has never been shown. You cannot see it unless you happen to have a copy from before it was vaulted. Splash Mountain was based on Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox and those stories from Song of the South. And then, of course, largely was criticized for that. So now they're taking it down and they're making it Princess and the Frog, a New Orleans theme. That's all I know.
It'll still just be a log ride, though.
It's just a log ride.
Anybody
but still.
who's upset about this is, has issues. It's still going to be a log ride. If you love log rides, you will still love this new version of the log ride. It just comes with much less racism, which is a good thing.
I love log rides and I love New Orleans, so I'm exceptionally excited to see the new Splash Mountain.
But there were no log rides in The Princess and the Frog or mountains.
It might not be a log. It might be something else that you're just floating on water.
Maybe it's a lily pad now or something.
Yeah, like a lily pad. Yeah.
The hunters had a boat in the bayou when they were trying to catch the frogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were riding on the alligator at one point, weren't they?
Mm.
So
It's going to go down a slide with water, and you're going to sit in it, and you might possibly get wet. Then you'll wait in line for 2 hours for 40 seconds of ride. And
I love those kind of rides, so I'm very excited to see what they do with it.
I do too.
Tiana. I was just gonna say Tiana also made another appearance in Wreck-It Ralph in that princess scene. But you were not. I just remembered that because that's where I like that was the most I was exposed because I saw Princess and the Frog, like I said, after it came out maybe once. I think I watched it with my kid, and funny enough, I never saw Avatar, so Avatar coming out did not overshadow this movie for me. I don't know, I just didn't see it, and but like it's. You were talking earlier about, it didn't do as well as like Lion King or Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast, all the movies that I will go to and watch over and over and over and over again. And now that I've rewatched this movie tonight and we have Ray and Evangeline, I will watch this. This will be added to the roster now that I've gotten to re-enjoy it and watch it, with a more critical eye than just on in the background. I think, as much as I do have criticism of it, I will watch it again a lot and cry.
There is, I will give one praise, and that is, no, seriously, this is one praise. So the friend, I don't remember her name, the Big Daddy's daughter. What was her name?
I can't remember.
Doesn't matter. Princess. He called her Princess all the time. So it would have been really, 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 really easy to have made her one of the villains, and they didn't. And when she says, you know what? Yes, I want to marry a prince, but I want your happiness, Tiana, because you're my friend, and I'll kiss you. I'll kiss your boyfriend if it'll make things better. But there's no strings. I just want good things for you. It would have been so easy, Lottie. It would have been so easy to have made her one of the wicked stepsisters, and they didn't. And I thought that was really quite a nice sort of coming together. I did like that.
And I feel like you don't even really see that coming either, because in the beginning, when I sat down to watch this tonight, the first 3 seconds, I was like, oh boy, here we go. Because she was like frothing at the mouth, trying to kiss the cat in the frog outfit. Like so obsessed with this from when she was little. And so that was it was a nice surprise. Like it was that she didn't, because she almost went for it and then grew a conscience. So.
And then she decided to wait for the 6-year-old brother to turn of age.
I was like, what?
That was a little weird.
Yeah,
That was a little weird.
But she's waiting. She's waiting like she's supposed to.
That's called grooming, Jason. We don't need to.
Yeah. Okay.
no. After that, okay.
Wow. Well, I'm done tonight. Courtney's been great.
Okay.
Oh wait.
The magic in the movie. What the voodoo, which we know got all wrong. The religion versus the practice, and the magic. Good, bad spirits on the other side, friends on the other side. Anybody want to talk about the magic?
I have one quick thing to say about that. So I do not pretend to be well-versed or well-researched in hoodoo or voodoo. I learned so much from you guys talking about it. But the scene where, what's his name? The bad guy, Dr. Facilier, goes to ask for more magic from the spirits or whatever, and he's standing on that wooden floor with all the sigils around him on the floor. That gave me Skeleton Key vibes so hard. Because of that last scene in Skeleton Vibes. Yes. Okay. In Skeleton Key that we watched where, the whole ritual was set up. And I like made a note of that to talk about that. So that's my input on it. Other than that, the love for me was magical between the star and the firefly.
Or the 2 stars.
I think the
the 2 stars of the show.
I think the confusion with the magic and religious practice is an important note if we're talking about magic representation of magic and witchcraft and voodoo. I mean, just overall from the studies that I do, because voodoo is traditionally represented as something like what we're seeing here, as an evil magical practice, devil-like, and all those things. So you see that here in Disney's movie, and that's something to talk about, definitely something to discuss. But at the same time, you also have Madame Odie. So you do have the representation of wholesome magic. Now, if you see, one is connected to devils, ghosts, skulls, all those colors that are used when they drew him versus when they drew Madame Odie, who's connected to nature, who is connected to the animals, to feeding, and to a more maternal and motherly feel. So there's a different coloring with them. And there's definitely a judgment on types of magic, but they both have magic, and you don't have one that's not magical and one that is magical. So you do have that. They're not criticizing magic so much as they're criticizing the types of magic potentially here. So that's something to note. And I think it's important. None of us are qualified to do is talk to voodoo practitioners, and specifically African-American viewers of this film, to see how they experienced it. And specifically, again, in terms of magic, the voodoo practitioners, what do they think about this particular movie and the representation of magic in it?
Yes, that would be good.
Mhm.
And if there's any out there, let us know. We would like to know in the chat room. sorry, I'm having an allergic reaction. If it looks like I'm laughing, crying, sneezing, and coughing, I am laughing, crying, sneezing, and coughing.
Me too, Patty. Evangeline.
It's really not magic that's rooted in actual traditions, though, in this movie. It's just fairy tale magic. Good fairy tale magic, bad fairy tale magic. As I said earlier, though, the thing that will always bother me is that Baron Semdi is the, prototype for the bad guy.
Right.
And could you imagine if you had a bad guy who looked like the Apostle Paul or something in a movie? I mean, everyone would go
Right.
crazy. And yet, for some
Right.
reason, it's always okay with, certain parts of the Loa to do that. And so that will always bug me.
Well, and that's a point. The point you make that this is just fantasy magic. It's just fantasy magic, but they're using a real religion
Right.
and a real magical practice to color that, and that's what's done with witchcraft often in other cases, but specifically here it's more poignant, and it's for a culture that's been marginalized so horribly, so it's more poignant. But yeah, that's exactly, it's fantasy magic, but it's a little too close, to something, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's fantasy magic, but they're saying it's something else while they're using fantasy magic. Right. And therein lies the problem.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Well, I agree too on that. I agree too. And I'm not versed enough in that. But if there's nothing else to do, what we can move on is to wands up and wands down on the Princess and the Frog. So,
can I do two? Can I do wands up for one thing and wands down for the general?
Yes, you can do whatever you'd like, Richard-Lael.
Can I just jump in? We have someone here in the thing that says that they practice hoodoo and they can see. What does it say? I can see the contrast between the two practitioners, the balance. Both are powerful, especially light. So we do have someone that is a hoodoo practitioner chiming in. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. So, all right, get your wands, get your pencils, get your black Phillips, get you whatever you have, and we want you guys out there in the chat room. So, Princess and the Frog, wands up, goats up, goats down.
Okay, so I'm going to put this hand up for the things that I do like about it: New Orleans, the music, the animation, first African-American princess, and then the film is here, and it's here. Wait,
there's more.
No, my film is here.
Oh.
I was worried Richard-Lael was going to just start pushing down some of the fingers until there was only one up left.
It's a family show. It's a family show. It's a family show. Okay, I'm wands up. Beating up cartoon characters and, slight stereotypes and all. I enjoyed it. And again, the music, the dancing, the animation I was happily surprised. So, wands up. And everybody else out there, you guys aren't voting, are you? Are they voting?
They are, a couple of them.
We're getting wands
up. Yeah, we got some wands up.
Right.
We got some wands up.
There we go. Sorry.
I have a wand up and a bone up, a femur up. One for each of the stars of the movie. Because that was my favorite part. But I overall loved it. I thought it was fun. There are some problems. I feel like, those problems should be recognized. But at the same time, leaving those aside, enjoying it for what it is. And I liked it.
Okay, good. And I'm sorry, I didn't see everybody's wands up here because something took over my screen, not a doll, and it had been scrolling all by itself. I swear, that's why I didn't see any.
Yana.
I'm horrified. Are you serious? Because it really happened.
I said nobody's voting.
I need to burn this house down with not a doll inside.
Oh, sure. Threaten the haunted doll.
It's not haunted. Exactly. It's not a doll. Oh, my God.
It is not a doll.
That's not okay. Last week, everybody thought it was moving. I'm going to have to throw it in the trash.
I am giving this. I'm going to give this movie a wands up, and if I had a second one, my other wand is over there. But if I had it, I'd give it a wands up, a second wands up, because this has a treasured moment with my child. I will never forget this movie because of my experience in the movie theater, of watching it the first time, and the number of million times, if you know how toddlers watch movies, the number of times we watch it after once we had it on DVD, pre-streaming, and so we did that, and we have the lovely toys left over. And because I love feature animation, and I think they did a marvelous attempt to bring that back and really did a lovely job. But, you know, as a film historian and critic, I could tear it apart to pieces and criticize it. And it isn't perfect, but wands up.
Thank you.
I like it.
All right. Now we want to know what you guys want. Jason, did you give us?
No, I don't need to say it. I'm a big wands up on this. I think this is one of the 10 best Disney movies ever made because the animation is so beautiful and the songs are so good, and it's in New Orleans, and people learn and grow during the course of the film. You'll be surprised that the prince starts as kind of a jerk and then becomes a full human being. I mean, that was obvious in the first 4 minutes, but it's a great movie. big wands up. So nothing by Disney is ever truly perfect, but this is one of their better movies. Love this film. Boom.
I know what Jason's favorite Disney movie is.
It is not The Sword and the Stone. And that's why it's a doll, Courtney. That's why it's a doll.
I hope not, Jason. No. I really hope not.
It is not. It's a terrible movie.
Mad Madam Mim.
I love Mad Madam Mim. Oh.
So on that note, we got to figure out what we want to talk about next week and in future weeks. So you guys, you could comment here which or witchy like or witchy adjacent movies of any sort, or even television shows. We're branching out that you would like us to watch and talk about. What are you guys' favorites? I don't know. But before we go, write it here, write us later. You know how to find us, like us, and follow us on our social media, because you just have to do that in this world. Buy our books, hang out with us, come to Salem, come to Hollywood, come to everywhere we are. Just say hi, but don't stalk us. Unless you bring a Black Phillip, and then if you bring a Black Phillip, you can stalk us. Anyway, so everybody, let's say, anybody have anything fun coming up that they want to talk about? Richard-Lael?
No, I mean, I'll be in SatanCon. I said it at the top of the hour, but I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm working on some things with Lord Constantine, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, I've got some other things that I can't really talk about. It's just not time. You know, timing is everything.
It's the secret stuff that's really good. All right, Courtney.
That's me. Well, you can find me online at The Themes on all the socials. I play horror games on Twitch, or sometimes murdery games, whatever. So I usually tend to go live to play one or the other after we do our show here, so you can catch me there. Instagram for pictures of Black Phillip and his adventures, and also Ghostbait on Scared and Alone at scaredandalone.com. That's my new favorite. So coming up soon in a couple of weeks, I think about 3 weeks, I'm going to be going to my absolute top of the bucket list haunted location. We rented out the Villisca Axe Murder House for the night. We're trying to work in another place while I'm out there in Minnesota. So I'm going to be getting back to investigating pretty soon. So there's going to be a lot of stuff out there with that. And I'm very excited, and I will not be bringing Not at All with me, but I will be bringing Black Phillip.
And I want to say about Scared and Alone, this past weekend, this past 4 days, I was at one of the Scared Alone locations. I don't know if you were there, but you were, Richard. I was at the Randolph County Asylum and Infirmary this past 4 days in Indiana, and it was as scary as it should be. I actually was pushed down a couple of stairs by a very angry spirit because they have this whole mirror thing set up they don't get. So I was thinking Scared and Alone. I was talking to the owner. So yeah, that's good. Get back again. So, all right, who wants to talk next about what's going on? Jason.
I will be at the Spring Mysteries in Seattle, Washington next weekend, which is Easter weekend. It's a recreation of what happened at ancient Eleusis between Demeter and Persephone and the return of Persephone. and the return of spring, and I'm doing some workshops there. So I'm really excited about that. That should be pretty cool and pretty fun.
Beautiful. Thank you. Before we get there, have you done the witches from 1990? Have we done the witches from 1990? Is that no, we haven't.
We have not.
I guess
yet.
we'll have to talk about that later. Thank you, Amber. Great participation today. Heather?
I am going to be just doing my regular work, working with the authors. I am a acquisitions editor at Llewellyn, so I get to read lots of great witchy books all the time. So I'll be doing that. You can find me at heathergreene.net, which is up on the screen right now. And anything that I'm doing that pops up will be on the site. You can also find links to all my socials there. And I'm fairly active on Twitter, and as long as Twitter exists, and Facebook. And I'm trying to get better at Instagram, so you can follow me on all those places. I am also on the board for mysticsouth.com or Mystic South, which is a convention, a witchy convention in Atlanta in the summer. So we're gearing up right now, getting all the pieces in. I'm getting to do a haunted doll workshop there, I believe, which is going to be super fun, Courtney.
Nope. Couldn't pay me.
There's actually I believe there's going to be another doll workshop there too. So you'll get two options, but that's Mystic South in April. So we're gearing up for that, and also writing articles for Religion News Service and other sites about witchy stuff and pagan and occult topics there. So you can always catch all my links on my website and find me and chat with me. And please reach out. Tell me what movies I need to watch that I haven't included in my book, Lights, Camera, Witchcraft, and what else I need to review.
Oh, Heather, did you watch The Witch That Came from the Sea?
I have not had a time to watch that. I have to watch that in privacy, I think. It's on my list, Courtney.
Maybe have your therapist on speed dial while you're watching it.
It's on my list of ones to watch for sure.
Nobody else put it on their list. Only Heather's list. Nobody else's list.
Okay. I think we have to do that movie one of these days, because the main character in there played Anne Frank as a child actor, and to go from Anne Frank to the schlock that is the Witch in the Sea is a whoosh, bad career trajectory right there.
Let's just not do that one, Jason.
No, I will never really do it.
It was definitely a Splash Mountain.
It is not on my list to watch. If we decide to do it, we will, but it is not on my list. I have up the Parapod Festival this weekend. It's going to be anybody in Southern California. It's in Santa Clarita, which is by Magic Mountain. But I'm doing all sorts of things. Friday night, we're doing a ghost hunt. I'm doing a spirit circle. We're doing stargazing. Saturday, I'm doing a seance. I'm speaking with my friend Stefan Brigatti, who's a paranormal investigator. I'm actually up for 2 awards because it's a film festival and podcast festival. I'm up against 2 amazing other podcasts for best spiritual podcast for The Witching Hour. And I'm also up for best TV psychic medium, but I'm against Chip Coffey and Tyler Henry. So I'm not getting my hopes up, but it's an honor just to be nominated, as they say, because it really is. I'm thrilled. So that's this weekend, theparapodfestival.com. And then I'm going to be a couple of weeks in April at Spirits in the Spring, which is a fundraising paracon in Wisconsin at Broadhead. And then I'm flying off to Arizona to do Bisbee, Arizona, the Haunted Weekend at Copper Queen. So I'm going to try to bring this guy at least a couple places so he doesn't eat me in my sleeve. Thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate that. So everybody, we have a minute and a half left, almost. Thank you. Hope you win them. Thank you. I don't even have to win them all. I'm just happy to be there. I've got to figure out what to wear. It's fun.
I did notice someone asked if we had done Wednesday yet, and I believe we have that from like sometime when it came out. We did that one.
We did that a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
we did the first couple episodes, I think.
I think they're all on YouTube. Is that right, Patti? If they want to go back,
I think go to my Patti Negri YouTube, and anybody else who wants to put them up on your YouTube. And for me, you find me at pattinegri.com is how to get to all my real my real social medias, and like I said, like us, follow us. You can list all my things there because it's too many for me to remember, and you can sign up for my free newsletter. And the other thing that you all have to do besides come next Wednesday and tell your friends is go to mysterycontrol.com so you can get yourself a nice Witches Movie Coven hat, t-shirt, mug, blanket, hat. And maybe we need to do Witches Movie Coven underwear.
Yeah, the new
Yeah, that'd be
well,
great.
you have that new line of
I
Magick
do. I have my
underwear,
new
which
line.
is awesome.
Patty's Power Panties.
Yes.
The color, the wording, the sigil, power in every pair for men and women. Just doing a soft launch now, but they're doing really well. So maybe we need Witches Movie Coven underwear. Yeah.
If you scan the little QR code that was up there in the corner, it'll bring you right to it. We tested it out.
Yay. Thank you. Can they scan the QR? Mine says live.
Nope, I can't because we did this last week. I'm going to do it again right now. Hold on.
Okay, can you do it?
Ready? You'll be able to see it.
Oh, Into the Woods. Yes.
Into the Woods.
Thank you to whoever brought that one up. Yes.
Thank you, Amber. Amber. She's our.
Yep, it comes right up.
Yep.
Okay, so Mystery Control for all sorts. You'll see Scared and Alone stuff. You will see my stuff. You will see everything that you want for your wardrobe at home, except for Black Phillip. We're going to have to work on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have one more thing to do because it's time right now. What do we witches do? 1, 2, 3.